Hello, listeners, and welcome to Leading the Way in RVA. My name is Casey Long, and I'm the host of this podcast alongside the owner of Fulfilled Coaching and Consulting. The purpose of this podcast is twofold. First and foremost is to introduce you to inspiring leaders here in our Richmond community. And second, for you to walk away with tactical tips that you can apply to your own leadership journey. I'm thrilled today to introduce you to a guest that was nominated to us by Angela Royston, and who's also come up in multiple other conversations we've had around making a pivotal difference in our community. And that is Myra Smith. Myra is recently retired as the president and CEO of Leadership Metro Richmond. And on top of that, was also the award winner of the 2025 Virginia Business Magazine Virginia Black Business Leader. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Myra. Myra, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for the introduction.
Yes.
It's an invitation to be here.
So this is our first time meeting. I will tell you, for
Yes.
many years being in leadership development and being in Richmond, I often hear just rave reviews about Leadership Metro Richmond. And I know you've been the backbone of that for the last 15 years and are now opening your door to new opportunities.
Yes, new opportunities.
But would love to just hear a little bit about you and your journey and what led you down this path.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I am a Richmonder. I grew up here.
Go Richmond!
Yep, go Richmond. I am a graduate of Huguenot High School. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Went to VCU and majored in urban studies and planning. As a teenager, I was very engaged in Richmond scene. Very engaged as a youth advisor to city council when I was 16. That's where I met my husband, my current husband. I was a commissioner at the age of 18. Appointed by city council.
So wait, at 16 years old, you stepped into leadership in the community.
Correct.
Okay. And that's where you met your husband.
That's where I met my husband. So there are benefits to being engaged in the community. I obviously commissioner for the Youth Services Commission when I was 18 years old. And from that was the start. I've just always been engaged in boards and commissions and different organizations throughout the greater Richmond community. So that has been a love for mine, to be engaged and having leadership in the area.
And when you were 16, like that's a young age to be getting really involved. And as a mother of teens, I'm curious, like what motivated you at 16 years old to go become a part of a community program? Was it your parents saying, go do this, or you just, how did that happen?
Well, growing up in Richmond, I was very engaged. My parents always believed you do something else other than just go to school and come home. So I was a Boy Scout, Explorer Scout, I was a Girl Scout, I was YWCA, YMCA, just engaged in the community and meeting folks from different parts of the area. But I was selected by my high school to represent Huguenot at the Youth Advisory Council. And my husband was representing Kennedy High School. And so that's why we met. And so that just continued on. While I was at VCU, I continued on to be engaged. But even before that, when I was 17 years old, I was an intern for Claudette Black McDaniels and Willie Dale, who were the first two African-American women to serve on city council.
Wow.
I was a 17-year-old intern.
So your parents instilled early in you. You don't just go to school and come home. You are a community citizen.
And not just instilled in me, I saw them do it also. They were engaged in it also.
Yeah. Wow. So started at 16 years old, nominated by your Huguenot High School, and met your husband quite early, and it grew from there. And then tell us a little bit about what happened as you continued on through your journey.
Went to VCU and got very involved. There was a gentleman by the name of John Meeser, who was my professor, who really saw things in me that I really didn't see in myself. And he nominated me to be part of the Lieutenant Governor's team. That was Dick Davis. And so I really got engaged in state government work. And then after graduation, I became an economic development planner and a community development planner in Farmville, and became very engaged in that community. Later on, my next step was to be an institutional researcher for Brightpoint. I did that for a few years. And then I went to United Way, and I spent 23 years there.
Oh, what
and
amazing.
that was my growing field, if you will, my learning field, being at LMR, being at United Way, because I took on a number of roles there And those roles and those activities really prepared me to serve in leadership Metro Richmond.
Wow. Okay. So I'm hearing a couple themes there. One is your parents really modeled the way of being a community citizen. Two is we've talked about this in some of our other episodes, is it sounds like you had mentors, sponsors that really just saw something in you
Right.
and put you in positions to really grow and develop yourself. I'm curious, like, what do you think helps someone, like, what do you think led to people being like, wow, Myra, we want to nominate her for this, or Myra, I really want to help her get where she needs to go.
I think, I think back to high school. I was in superlatives in high school. I was the most dependable.
Ah,
And so I've always been there. I've always had this sense of service. And that's why I believe so much in servant leadership. And that's really a big foundation of mine. But being of service to people, I believe that we are here to serve others. And I have that mentality, and I've always had that mentality. I learned that from my parents. And so I think people see the sincerity of me wanting to help and be engaged and be involved. And also, I like people. And I say that because a lot of folks don't care about other people, but I learned from them. Throughout my years of being engaged in United Way and LMR and being engaged with the city, I've met so many people, so many, and a lot of leaders, and watched them work. And from them, learn the things that you should do, but also some of the things you really should not do.
yes. So a love for people, dependability, being service, leadership focused have all been just some of the traits and characteristics that have led to people wanting to help you get where you want to go. I love your love for people. I share that. Obviously, that's one of the reasons.
That's why you do this, right?
Podcast. I have a belief that like people and books are your greatest ways to learn, and like a person is like a book to me, and I get to read and learn all about them and learn so much about myself through them. So
Yeah, and speaking of books, my love for people really came from every Tuesday growing up in Richmond. Our community did not have a library, but we had bookmobile. Bookmobile came every Tuesday at 4 o'clock in front of Maymount School. And there I went and just read and always read biographies, autobiographies. It's always been my draw, had always
About
drew me in.
people.
It's about people. And I love presidential biographies. And my family looks at me really kind of like, because I'll start reading books and putting on the videos about American presidents and kind of go, really? You're going to make us look at this? Just to watch how individuals have led and the troubles and the concerns they've had and how they've overcome, if you will, different barriers.
you've been a student of leadership
I love
your
it.
whole life.
I love it.
I am with you there. I love it too. I always tell my kids, I say, today's reader is tomorrow's leader. And you're an example of that.
And also being at United Way, and for 23 years, I think I had 7 different positions. But it was always the thought of I can learn and continue to learn and continue to learn. And if I don't know how to do it, I will figure out or talk to other individuals how to do this. And I've been guided by many. And I have to say that also.
Yeah. So you have grit. You figure it out no matter what role you're in.
I'll figure
and
it
you
out.
know that you're smart enough to know that you might not know how to do everything, but you're going to find people that do and help you.
And there are people out there who know. And there are people out there who are willing to share. That's the key part, too. Someone asked,
Long time. How many years again at United Way?
I was at United Way for 23 years.
23 years. And what were some of the roles that you held in your
I went there as a planner. So I did community development. I did community research, community needs assessments. I did the first one, needs assessment for the Greater Richmond area, Human Services Needs Assessment. I did the first one for Petersburg. I was very engaged in helping build initiatives and collectives and collaborations at United Way. I'm very heavily engaged during the time when HIV and AIDS came to the forefront.
late 80s, early 90s?
We pulled together key leaders. Leaders came to United Way saying, something needs to be done. And people are losing their jobs. People are getting kicked out of their homes. People are fearful. Something needs to happen. And so 2 wonderful individuals, Jackson Blanton, Julie Latham, came to United Way, and we pulled together a very diverse group of individuals who can make decisions and make things happen. So you had the American Red Cross, you had the head of the public health of all the localities, VCU Health System, you had St. Mary's. St. Mary's was there. A lot of community-led organizations were at the table to figure out what's needed, and so I had to help lead that needs assessment. We talked to citizens in the community. We talked to people who were engaged in the topic, people who were impacted by the people who were living with HIV and AIDS, having that human-centered inquiry, if you will. That's why I love design thinking.
Yes.
To really dig into what's needed and then figure out who's best to satisfy, who's best to address this need. Let us go out nationally, find dollars to match local dollars to make things happen. And that happened quickly. I say that because you don't have to take years and years to figure out what to do. Let's figure out now what needs to happen. Small wins, I call them. How do we get things done? What's needed? And so through that research, we found that people were needing emergency funds. I helped set up the first emergency fund for individuals living with HIV and AIDS. We had individuals who did not have heat, no electricity. They had been put out of their homes. They didn't have their work anymore. Jobs fired them because they were HIV and AIDS. I had folks to come who were just needed help, and I helped manage that fund. I will call Dominions that I got funds. I need to help pay for this person's electricity. And
Talk about service.
And that really motivated me to stay within the nonprofit community. And I've always stayed there to see, but also what happened a lot, and it didn't taint me a lot, but we tried to go to the business community to figure out how the business community can be engaged, and some leaders stepped up. But there are a few leaders who said, no, that's a curse.
They weren't willing to step in.
They weren't willing to step up because of their beliefs that
around the HIV and AIDS.
HIV and
wow.
AIDS. It was, that was disappointing for me as a young professional to see people take the stance of walking away from. And when I'm working with parents and children living with HIV, they're not to blame.
Yeah.
But I got that feeling from some folks in the community that they were to blame. And so that's really kind of kept me driven to keep working in the community.
I'm like, the word that's popping up for me just as I'm listening to you is just like deep empathy.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Deep empathy and action oriented. Like, we have a problem, let's fix it.
I believe in small wins. You continue to work on the big stuff, but there can be small wins of things where we can plug the dam, keep the water from flowing through, and being creative. But it takes who's sitting at the table.
The people.
And what diverse ideas come to that table, what different perspectives come to that table. And that's why I'm really engaged and been engaged with LMR for so long.
Yeah, so tell us about that, because you were at United Way, you made incredible impact there, especially during the HIV/AIDS time, and learned, I'm sure, so much. And
I ran the campaign.
What led you to go from United Way to LMR? And explain a little bit about what LMR is, too.
Right. I was at United Way. I'd been there 22 years, and I'd done a little bit of everything. I was a planner. I ran the United Way campaign for a few years. I did organizational development and planning, helped the organization shift and transition from being just a fundraiser to a community impact organization to help lead that effort. So I learned a little bit everything when it comes to management. Then I also became, at the end, as I left United Way, I was vice president of operations. So I was head of IT and HR. So all those things I learned from my MPA program at VCU were coming to bear at United Way. My CEO came to me one day and knocked on the door and says, I need you to think about applying for another job. I said, are you trying to get rid of me? And she said, no. And she and I are very good friends. And she said, no, there's someplace that needs you. And I'd like for you to apply for this job at LMR. And I was vice president at that time. And I looked at the job description and I told her no.
Oh.
It was just an impossible job description. It was like, I don't have, my S is not that big on my chest. I can't do that. And so they didn't hire me.
That was like a little impossible.
I was like, it was like whoa.
Was it a newly established program?
No,
Okay. You were
LMR has
gonna
been around for
replace-
45
Okay,
years.
so you were going to
I'll
replace.
replace, they had an interim for 1 year and wanted me to come. And so I turned it down. They hired no one. They rethought exactly what the leadership that they were looking for, came back, and I applied for it and started in July of, I can't even remember when I started, 2010.
So I want to recognize that's an amazing boss that is willing to give up incredible talent to go do something that they know is needed.
Yeah.
Like that's an amazing
Because I had
boss.
done just a little bit of everything there at United Way.
Yeah.
So I went there, and LMR is our region's community leadership development and engagement organization. It has been in our community for 45 years. Years ago, leaders in our community recognized that leaders did not know one another. It was 1980. We had come through the integration of schools 9 years earlier. The community was very segregated. As the historians would say, the north side of Broad Street did not know the south side of Broad Street. And so to bring diverse leaders together, to get to know one another, to understand, we all have to come together to work together to make this community.
So that's
where
the
it needs to be.
mission of
That's the
LMR
mission.
is to
To
bring
connect
diverse leaders
and
together.
prepare leaders for positive engagement.
Yes.
And so that's what LMR is all about.
And I know y'all do it well because, like I said, I've had many guests here that have spoken to the power of LMR.
And so we've done that for years and continue to do that. Being there 15 years, I think I've come across, we have 2,500 graduates. I think I've taught maybe 1,000 over my 15 years. Some of the most amazing individuals in this region. That's one thing I would say. We have an abundance of talent in this region.
Yes.
Abundance.
You've gotten to meet so many.
I've got to meet some
And
amazing
educate
individuals.
so many of them.
And the part for us when it comes to LMR is how we show up. It's a professor at Auburn wrote this. He says a community's economic vitality, a community's vitality, is largely dependent upon its quantity of leaders.
Yes. And that's what we are here to develop.
Quantity
our
of leaders and how they individually and collectively talk, act, decide, and interact with one another. It's how we show up.
All right. I need that quote.
I don't focus, I'll send it to you. I don't focus so much on the issues, but how leaders are prepared when they come to the table. How they connect with others, how they really think through and appreciate perspectives. And that's why we focus on servant leadership. And people don't like the word servant. It's like, oh, that doesn't. But so we talk about leaders who serve.
Yeah.
Change it that
So
way.
is this going to be our topic?
That's going to be our topic. Leaders who
Servant
serve.
leadership.
Leaders who serve.
Yes.
I
Let's
love
do
it.
this.
So that's a foundation. That's been a foundation of mine for years. Now, I think everyone should have a leadership framework to live by. My framework, part of it is servant leadership, but the other part is the leadership challenge. I know you're familiar with
Oh, I love the
Positive.
leadership challenge.
I
I think
learned
the assessment.
leadership, the inspiring to share vision, modeling the way, enabling others to act, challenge the process, encourage the heart.
Yes, there's 5 leadership
5.
behaviors in the leadership challenge. It's an amazing foundational leadership book.
Read it.
Read it.
It's-
And then if
it's-
you want to go more in depth, give me a call. We can do an assessment that you can get everybody's perspective on how you show up with those 5 behaviors.
Lead it. So that's my framework.
Okay,
That's
so
what I
we work
work.
with the leadership
That's what I work through.
challenge, yep.
But when it comes to servant leadership, is that you serve. You have a desire. You serve first, and then have a desire to lead.
Mm-hmm.
It's about serving the needs of others, and you can even do this in business. And some people, well, that doesn't fit. Well, yes, it does. Through your work, even in business, you're serving your employees, providing them the tools that they need to get the job done. You're serving them with expectations. You're serving them with goals. You're serving them with the ability to get the job done, of being of service. As family members, we serve our kids. We provide them with the things they need. The things they need. Leaders who serve don't think less of themselves. They think of themselves less.
Yes.
So in that
Wait, I want to
sense,
say that again. Leaders that serve don't
think less of themselves. They think of
themselves
less. So you're always looking outwardly to serving others more so than what I'm going to get out of it.
Yes.
It's about being of service and understanding individuals' needs. So as you work in the community, as you lead, it's a test that Greenleaf came up with. As I serve, do people grow?
Yes.
Are they better?
Am I leaving an impact?
Are they healthier? Less deprived? The things that I do, does that occur in serving leadership? But also one key part about serving leadership that test is that there are different attributes. It's when you're going to serve and then have a conscious decision to lead. You serve first, and then in the midst of your service, you decide to lead. When
Okay, let's pick that apart a little bit. So, you decide to serve, which it makes me. I saw a quote recently that was like, "You don't just say what you do; say what you do for others."
Others,
right?
that's it.
So you choose to determine your mission, how you want to serve others, the impact you want to leave, and then you start doing that, and then out of that, you then decide if you want to lead. What is that like from your perspective? What's that?
Yeah, I can give you an example. If you serve on a board, a nonprofit board, you're one of many members. But as time goes by, you rise up in leadership because people see in you that leadership. Because oftentimes leadership is not, I can't walk around and say I'm a leader. Your authority can be that leadership, but to be seen, that is something that people see in you.
Yeah, it's influence.
That's it.
You can show up and you can be at work or you can be on a board or be in your neighborhood or whatever and be there and say, I am this. But unless you're leaving things better than you found them or bringing others along,
That's right.
you might be serving but not fully leading.
And that's why I mentioned the board service. I want to go down that road for a second.
Boards.
Board service. It is so impactful to serve on a nonprofit board. I've been pushing this for years. I've been engaging in this. And we at LMR, we did a lot of board training.
Yeah.
And they still do it. But that's one way to be engaged in our community, do leadership. You can take your knowledge and your skills, your abilities, and use it on a board. Your different perspectives, lived experiences to serve on a board. People think, I'm not a CEO. No, that's not, you don't need those qualifications to bring your passion and your skills and abilities to a nonprofit board. It's a
Yes.
way to engage in the community.
I think being a board member is such an impactful way to serve the community. And what you said is you lived experience. So I was on my church board for many years, which was great growth for me. And then I'll never forget somebody sponsored, nominated for me to meet with the executive director of Ronald McDonald House Richmond, Carrie Bloomberg at the time.
Bloomberg.
I
I know.
She was looking
wonderful.
for
One of my
a board
graduates.
member.
Yeah.
And I was this like young, maybe like 28, 30-year-old.
See.
But I was a new mom and I had a 1-year-old who had spent some time in the hospital unexpectedly. And when I came to find out all about Ronald McDonald House and how their mission is to keep families together when their children are getting care, I had a personal experience with that. And so even though I might not have been the president of a company, or, in my 40s or whatever, I was in my late 20s, I joined that board and it was so impactful.
Yeah, it is. And then you learn a lot about the issues that they were dealing with. And so when you serve on a board, it can be very beneficial for individuals in business also. Because number one, you expand your network. You learn things that you may not normally learn in your business. In hiring a CEO and performance evaluations and outcomes and outputs and understanding finance, understanding budgeting, risk management.
What are the rules of a board? What are the rules called? Robert's rules?
The Robert's Rule, Parliament procedures, understand how to run a meeting, how to engage. Now, the key part when it comes to LMR and serving on boards and those things, we talk about community leadership. Which is a lot different than professional leadership.
Okay.
Let me say this. When I've had the opportunity to serve on a number of boards, and often boards that I serve on have been matched with my passion or something that's happening in my life. I was a board chair of the National Kidney Foundation for Virginia and West Virginia.
Oh.
My mother was a transplant recipient. So finding something that was of interest, I like the health boards. I've served on leukemia and lymphoma board because my father died of multiple myeloma. Those things became passion and concern to me, and I used my skill sets for those organizations. And so to serve on those boards were very key.
And don't you always find being on boards that the right person shows up on the board at the right time?
Yeah,
It's wild.
it's amazing. And the people that I've met have been amazing.
So, we've talked about servant leadership and really operating from a place of how can I be of service to others, not just what do I do.
Right.
And I loved the quote of, I'm not going to remember it, but what did you say? It's
Leaders who serve
you have it. Leaders that serve.
don't think less of themselves, they
Themselves.
think of themselves less.
Yes, I love that. They're focused on others.
They focus on others.
And then we've talked about serving through boards. So listeners who maybe have never served on a board, like what would your advice be to them to kind of take steps, because I know you're action oriented,
Yeah.
taking steps towards finding ways to get more involved, maybe on a board or just maybe in their community as a whole?
Yeah, I think one thing, look at yourself and think about how much time do I have to give? What am I passionate about? What's my interest? What can I bring to a board table? Recognize that ordinary citizens, regular folks, can be extraordinary leaders.
Yes.
Always believe
Everyone
that.
is a leader.
Everyone can be a leader, absolutely. But to serve on the board, really think about what you're passionate about. What's your interest? As I spoke about, kidney disease really drew me in. Cancer has drew me in based on things that happened in my life. But being a part of a board, having conversations with people you know who serve on boards and get their feedback and interest on how they've done it. But also think about really sharing what you know. If you work every day in finance, you can bring that to a board. If you work every day in different process development, you can bring that to a board. So different skill sets.
Yes.
Can
Know
come to
your
board.
passions.
Yeah.
Know your skills.
Know how much time you have to give.
Know how much resources you have to give.
Do you enjoy working with people who are not like you?
So are you open to diverse?
Open to that,
Collaboration.
because the table's diverse, and we want the table to be diverse because we want different perspectives to come to the table for problem solving and solution building. So one couple things you can do to serve on the board. You can talk to folks you know, but also you can go to LMR's website, Leadership Metro Richmond, lmronline.org, and you can sign up. And it's a board concierge service. We have a staff person who works to match you with a board, introduce you to a nonprofit.
This is through LMR's website?
LMR's
This is
board
something I did
concierge.
not know. I
So
don't know.
you can go in and say, I have these skills, these talents. I want to work with a board that's a startup, or I want to work with a board that's established. Answer those questions. There's a staff person who will find you a few nonprofits for you to look at, to think about, and then we introduce you to that nonprofit. The LMR can't put people on boards. That's the
Right.
board's
Make a big
decision.
introduction.
The connections.
Wow.
That is one thing. Nationally, boards say it's hard to recruit. One of the hardest things to do is recruit. And recruit for diversity also,
Yes.
different perspectives. We help that. Also, in September, I think it's September 25th, don't hold me to that date, there's a board connector. It's a program that LMR has at the Raceway in Pitt Row. There are about 40 plus nonprofits there for individuals to come in and just meet them, talk to
Are
them.
you
What do they
serious?
do?
In September?
And then we can talk about possible board service.
Oh my goodness.
And
I'm
that's
going to
the
have to take some time and think about my time and my resources before I head over there.
But I encourage,
That's amazing.
I want people to not think that I don't have what it takes to serve on a board. You have lived experiences. You have skill sets. You have perspectives that you can bring to the board, different ideas. That's very helpful to nonprofits.
I've learned so much through you today, and
Oh,
just
appreciate
been
that.
regrounded in so many things, especially the idea of servant leadership. And it's not what you do, it's who you do it for and the impact that you want to make. And start from there and then lean more into being a leader in that space.
Yeah. We need more. We need more folks to do that.
Yeah.
Get engaged. I always tell folks, if you go to work and come home, and you go to work and come home, and you go to work and come home, there's nothing in community in the middle of that, you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
Get engaged.
So much power in community.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm so inspired by your story and your commitment to the community, all your leaders in your life, from your parents to these different leaders that you've had that have like helped you just continue to grow your influence and impact in the community. And I just thank you for taking time out of your day to be here with us. And
Delighted.
we'll be sure to put the LMR links in the notes so
Fabulous.
people can hop on there and check out how they can get more involved. And as we always do, we close out the session with you thinking of a few folks that you think would be great future guests. So I want to open the floor to you to share who comes to mind.
I think the question was who inspired you. So many folks that inspired me throughout the years, but there are two individuals that I would recommend. One is Rudine Haynes. Rudine is the managing partner for Hunton Andrews Kurth law firm.
Law firm. Okay.
Big, one of the largest law firms, I think, on the East Coast. To be a woman and to be a woman of color, to be the managing partner
Of a law firm.
of a law firm that big is someone I think that her story
And here in Richmond.
here in Richmond, her story. Then the other person is Heather Crislip. Heather is the CEO of Richmond, the Richmond Forum.
Okay, the name sounds familiar.
Most
The
people
Richmond
know.
Forum's
Most people know
amazing.
Richmond, but Richmond Forum in 2026 is going to have an international debating competition here in Richmond. I think people need to hear about that,
Debate.
because in essence, Heather has taken the organization, and she has in the past. I think leadership there has been in the community, but not necessarily part of the community. I think she's made the forum more part of the community and being more engaged with beyond just having speakers come, but doing more. And she's doing
more. She's leading.
She's doing
Kind
them.
of
There
reaching out.
you
She's
go.
leading.
She sees the opportunities and the resources they have to do more,
And she's doing it.
and she's doing it.
Oh, well, I look forward to meeting them.
Oh, thank you.
I thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in this next chapter.
Well, I appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing more stories from leaders in the community. I will send you some more names because I've come across a lot of them throughout my years here. And thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Myra.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, listener, if you enjoyed today's session, take a moment and like, subscribe, or comment below. Especially leave a comment of a leader that inspires you here in Richmond that might be a great future guest. Also, if you're finding this session compelling and eager to learn more about yourself and your own leadership, don't hesitate to click into my website listed in the description and schedule a complimentary call. I'd love to learn more about you. Thank you.